Hello again, it's Garson, and it's time to go head-to-head with Tavern Brawler Monk, with Thief, of course, the most ridiculous, broken Flurry of Blows, and then the underdog, the Flurry of Blows from an elemental fire monk, if you will. So, both of these use Tavern Brawler, both of these use ridiculous strength elixirs. Let's dive right into it. I was going to make a quick guide for elemental monk. It's not actually going to be like this, but a big thank you to you guys requesting these videos, and then I get fun ideas from it. So let's check out this fun idea. So what is the strongest monk? Is it actually open hand, or is it this underdog 4 elements people don't give enough credit to? Well, let's get right into it. I've got some timestamps I'll put in the pin section, the pin comment section, and actually just skip to the Punching a Dragon section if you want to see some real examples with some numbers, all right? But let's explain those numbers. Where are they coming from? How are you getting these ridiculous damage numbers in honor mode even? How do you do that, Garson? So let's get this out of the way. If you don't know what TB stands for, it's a feat. It means Tavern Brawler. It doubles any kind of strength gains you get, these bonuses right here from your stats, your abilities. So strength ability modifier, this would be our accuracy and our damage plus 8 on unarmed strikes, but we actually get to double that with this feat at level 4, right? So attack and damage, so we always hit, and we always hit big, but on unarmed attacks or thrown attacks, but obviously we're talking about punching with Flurry of Blows. And so what we can do is use the giant elixirs to get a ridiculous swap out of, instead of 8 strength, we can go up to 27 strength on both of these guys. So that's a lot, and then we can actually devote the stats to dexterity and wisdom. Wisdom actually gets us even more punching damage thanks to the Kashigo boots and the open hand, right? So use stats like dex and wisdom can go elsewhere, and we can just have 8 strength bump up to 27, and then we take it up a notch, because whatever you do to improve this unarmed strike, we can actually go even further with 2 strikes in 1 bonus action for a single key point. That's very, very cheap burst of damage. So 1 key point, 2 unarmed attacks at the same time, and you get a bonus action, so you get to still use your regular attack and extra attack as if this was a Flurry of Blows itself. And we're going to use the Thief multi-class because this gives us another bonus action. So in total, both of these characters can punch 1, 2, and then with the bonus actions 3, 4, another action, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6 punches in total. Both characters are going to use Thief Rogue to get that extra bonus action. Both going to use Tavern Brawler and the elixirs to get massive strength. We're going to use unarmed attacks. It's really the strongest way you can make a monk. It makes them very min-max metagaming, right? And then we're going to use the legendary gloves. So what's their really highest potential is almost there with these gloves, and we're going to have some fun with this. We're not going to have the absolute best damage, but this is how we're going to compare these two. They have the exact same potential with their origin character pushing them up a notch. Karlach gets the Infernal Fury from Soul Coins, which, if you didn't know, you don't have to use any other condition. You're going to get 2d4 on every single unarmed strike, which obviously doubles up on Flurry of Blows. And if we go to Astarion, his origin speciality, without doing spoilers, is you can get a 1d10 on any attack, unarmed attack, range attack, melee attack, right? So this is going to be a 1d10 necrotic per punch, so that doubles up on Flurry of Blows as well. Pretty crazy, right? So both of these guys are going to go 9 monk, but open hand is going to go at level 6. We get the ability to add a 1d4. And level 9 monk for both of these guys, by the way, brings us up to 1d8 per punch. It's our strongest punch, plus all the strength from Tavern Brawler, plus the Kashigo boots over here, adding the wisdom modifier. But open hand gets to add this again to psychic damage. So there's a 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier on 3 elements of your choice, but psychic is the strongest because we can actually double up the damage thanks to vulnerability. This will double any psychic damage we do, which is insane. And it comes from this little guy, the Resonance Stone, which I'll link a video in the pinned comment section. So combo attack goes like this. We're going to Flurry of Blows, and then we're going to punch twice. So Flurry of Blows, obviously very strong, and then we'll punch twice as if it was a Flurry of Blows. So that's 6 punches in total. Well, of course, we could use Wholeness of Body. Anybody who's run one of these open hand monks, you can set up a turn before, and you'll have 8 punches because you'll have a whole nother bonus action. Tavern Brawler open hand is absolutely insane with Thief, but this comes out a single Flurry of Blows is going to have a minimum damage of not 64 but 78, because remember, the psychic damage actually doubles up. And then our maximum damage is not 120, it's actually 140. And an average, which is really what matters here, on average we're around 88 damage per Flurry of Blows, 1 key point. So that becomes a maximum of 6 punches. So at minimum we have 234 damage, a maximum, nice, 420 damage, and an average of 264. That's insane on honor mode and very cost effective at only 2 key points for this Flurry of Blows, this literal Flurry of Blows. So let's look at the underrated 4 elements monk. Karlach is who brings this out with the soul coins, adding the 2d4 extra fire damage to every punch. So we're gonna go 9 monk again to get that 1d8 on our punches. That's how we get the strongest punches. And then Thief Monk. So we'll use Fire Snake though. So like our regular attack, Fire Snake can actually attack twice with a single action and extra attack we get at level 5. We can use Fire Snake twice. Fire Snake, interestingly, has a range of 20 feet. So that's a nice little bonus, but we're not really here for that kind of stuff. We're here for damage, right? So what Fire Snake actually does is for a key point where you're still using an unarmed attack, it's 1 key point, it's got the range, sure, but it adds a 1d10 on the attack itself. And then for every melee attack we do henceforth for the rest of the turn, we'll have an additional 1d4 little buff. So Flurry of Blows will actually get a 2d4 since it's 2 hits, right? So this is where it gets messy. Try and follow along with me. The combo here is we're gonna use extra attack, our action, and a key point to use Fangs of the Fire Snake. And then we're going to do it again, but now we're going to have 1d4 applied to this. And then we're going to have 1d4 applied here and 1d4 applied here because we get 2 strikes in with Flurry of Blows. So we'll use 1 key point, 2 key points, 3, and then 4 for a total of 4 key points. Pretty costly, but it does pull out some nice damage. So if we have 2 snakes, that's the attack and extra attack with Fangs of the Fire Snake, we come out to a minimum of 55. And then we have a maximum of 120 and an average of 82, because a lot of this is really depending on the extra dice damages, right? So the Flurry of Blows, once we have the Fire Snake buff added in, we're gonna do a minimum of 54, a maximum of 104, and an average of 74. So remember, we're not seeing the 1d4 and 1d4 here. That's how the numbers get even higher than what's shown in minimum and maximum. So our combo damage, like I said, will be 1, 2 fangs or snakes, and then Flurry of Blows, and we'll get a max or a minimum of 164 or 163 and a maximum of 328 and an average of 230. And just to help you recap, I know I needed it. If we look at these side by side, you can see that open hand is far and away stronger, which is funny because this is still ridiculously good average damage, especially on honor mode. And we'll talk about some of the nuances at the end, not too much, but let's dive right into an example that I think actually gives a better, proper look at these two on an even footing, because the Resonance Stone isn't going to work on undeads. This guy resists necrotic, and the Worm Scales is actually going to mitigate damage a lot, because every instance of damage, bludgeoning, fire, and then force, will all get -4. So someone like Astarion, who's riding on rainbow damage, different colors here, is really going to get mitigated, especially with that loss in psychic damage. And of course, I am talking about Onser. So let's dive right into this video. I'll start playing this here. There we go. So to have some fun with this, let's check it out. We'll see some real world damage against one of the best bosses in the game, my buddy Onser. He's got all the answers to our questions. And you can see here, I do 6 punches in total with the extra attack at the end. So if you've never played open hand Tavern Brawler Monk, pretty crazy, right? So we've got some damage here. What we're going to do is punch him 2 more times. So on the second run, let's see what we get. We go ba-boom. Another Flurry of Blows. Ba-boom. And then we're going to punch him once. And we're going to punch him again. There we go. So we're doing about the same damage this time. I think literally 400, right? I'll have them listed after this. So let's do one more run with open hand and see what we get. We go in for the punch. Bop, bop. Another. Bop, bop. And one more. Bop, bop. Like I said, we could use Wholeness of Body the turn before, but that's not really how I'm comparing this. And that's just a setup turn for your ultimate attack, your ultimate burst. But we still did crazy good damage to him. But you'll notice if we zoom in and look at the damage mitigation, watch what happens. So obviously very accurate with Tavern Brawler. And then the damage, there's a lot going on there. But look, we get mitigated by 4 on the bludgeoning damage. Then our next damage is necrotic. It's going to get mitigated by resistance and then -4 from the greater worm scales. We don't get double damage against undead with the resonance, psychic vulnerability, and then it gets mitigated. And then finally the force gloves also getting mitigated here. So let's go ahead and jump over to our next example using Karlach. There we go. We got the 4 elements ultimate fire monk. Here we go. We're going to start off with fire snake because again, every other punch now for the rest of the turn, or every punch now, is going to add another 1d4, which means 2d4 for flurry of blows. You can see even more numbers than what I was showing earlier. So another flurry of blows, boom, 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 boom. And look at this. I won't say we did the same damage, but in all of my tests, and I did a lot, I'm only showing you 3 for both of these guys. But in all of my tests, we're actually keeping up with the ultimate monk, the Tavern Brawler open hand psychic punchies. So Fire Fist, Karlach, it's a special case because of the origin character, but I gave Astarion over, right? I gave open hand Astarions 1d10 necrotic, and you can see in an example like Answer, we're keeping up with the baddest, most strongest, so-called strongest monk in the game with our Fire Fist Karlach over here. So we do a snake and another snake, we flurry of blows, we flurry of blows. So the Thief, Tavern Brawler, all that really works on any monk, but it works exceptionally well on this combo as well. So you can see we're doing great damage against Answer, almost comparable. And if we zoom back in, I'll give you a better instance of what's going on. Once again, the Fire Snake, remember, there's an instance of bludgeoning damage. Same kind of ridiculous accuracy on the attack rolls. A lot of damage with bludgeoning. But then we look at the fire of just the innate Infernal Fury is her soul coin damage. Then we have the force damage. Once again, they both have the same 1d10 legendary gloves. And then we'll get another instance with Fire Snake of 1d10, but this also now gets mitigated. See what I mean? How we're getting a little nerfed because different instances of damage, but it's still more damage, right? 1d10 is not as easy to mitigate comparatively. We do another Fire Snake. It's a little stronger because of the 1d4 added, but it's really the Flurry of Blows I want to show you. All of the Flurry of Blows fire damage is added in one instance, and then you punch again, which is another instance. I know I'm saying that word a lot, but I can't stress it enough. Answer is really one of the best examples to really compare these two and see what we end up with. Now, both of them did crit in the last strike, so they did result in comparable damage overall. So honestly, the first and second are on par with each other. I've seen where Karlach ends up getting around 380 and Astarion gets about 415. So I've seen the numbers, but I figured I'd give you a pretty good example, a snapshot of both of these. Even getting critical hits at the end kind of comes out to even damage when you look at certain instances or fights where it's not as clear cut as you think it is. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say Fire 4 elements or Karlach is stronger or better or on par with it, but let's just look at some of the nuances here, and there's plenty more with things like wholeness of body and some other benefits that each bring to the table. But I did use an example where the undead don't get the double psychic damage because that's just so ridiculous, but there's also enemies that don't have any damage to psychic, right? So this guy right here, completely immune to psychic damage, but I gotta say, you could just switch to manifestation of soul or body and just now have more necrotic damage and overcome that. So, I mean, open hand monks really got it. And honestly, even though there's some immunities, you can just switch damage, but you see a lot of this where you can just punch the crap out of things with double psychic damage. And the flip side is fire resistance is very often on the same guy, even though he's immune to psychic damage, he's also resistant to fire damage. But I do want to point out that Arsonist Oil on a teammate shooting somebody like this would completely get rid of the fire resistance. And so we could also maybe swap out a level for the feat where you could just ignore fire resistance. It would lower the monk damage just a little bit. And there's also an exploit with the arsonist oil. You can find out about double fire damage in a video I'll link. But I just wanted to highlight those without going over every nuance. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments, because I want to know in the comments, who do you think is stronger now that you've seen this? I actually still say open hand monk. It's really hard to argue against this and the versatility of switching without an action or a bonus action, but I do like the fire monk. I think fire 4 elements is vastly underrated, especially on Karlach for this kind of setup, and I'm gonna do a quick guide video in just a moment. But Tavern Brawler Monk is strong no matter what on any monk subclass. These character specific bonuses take these guys to limit breaking levels, and I wonder if you guys think the other subclasses actually stood a chance. I didn't really bother to bloat this video with them, just kept it nice and sweet for you guys. So I'm going to have you guys check out some videos on the left and the right here, but also the pinned comments has some more recommendations and playlists where we actually play Tavern Brawler Monk, so you can see how strong it is in a real honor run from level 1 to 12. But I just want to see you come join the live stream and ask questions and comments. Let me know what you think is the strongest monk. You're my sponsors, and I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you had fun with this, and if you want to support the channel even further, the $1 a month on YouTube, I thank you guys so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it, and I'm going to get back to this quick guide, so I'll see you there.